Hoi, it's louisity again, and for this reading vlog, which has been a while since I did a reading vlog, we are going to read Wild Song by Candy Gourlay. Hooray! So like I said, it's been a while since I read, or rather I filmed, a reading vlog, and this is part of my August 2024 TBR, so yes, definitely I'm super excited to read it. Now this is set during the American occupation of the Philippines, similar to Bone Talk, but I definitely am curious how the narratives are going to be different compared to Bone Talk. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin reading this and I'll tell you my reading experiences. Hua! So I've read more than 100 pages of Wild Song by Candy Gourlay, and yep, so far it's been good. And I realized upon looking, because some COD's name is familiar, and at least I was able to confirm that this is set similarly to Bone Talk, of course by Candy Gourlay. And it's not really like a sequel or like a prequel. You can read each as standalones. But yeah, it kind of makes sense. It does give similar vibes, not only in terms of, say, because of the tribes that they're part of, but also it mentions about Mangili. And I decided that, it sounds really common, Mangili sounds really common. So I looked it up and I was like, okay, yes, it is kind of like a spin-off. And I thought I was thinking if some COD is a character, a different character, but it happens to be the same character. And what's interesting is that this book is going to make you think about traditions, because Luki here wants to get out of the sort of get out of the life that she's in. She is what quote unquote not the stereotypical girl in their community. She's into hunting, she's really brave. And that is something in the community is not seen as a proper thing, because kind of in some societies where women is just there to get married, and all that stuff. And she doesn't want that. And when there was an opportunity for her to go to America, she really wanted to go. She doesn't want to be married to some COD, but plot twist, surprise, whoa, some COD joins. And yeah, at first things didn't really go well between the two of them, which really caused some, a bit of problems with Truman Hunt. What's interesting? The name is Truman Hunt, so it's try to gather hunters. So what do you think of that? About that? Comment down below about the name Truman Hunt. It just brings thoughts in my brain, basically. And also my cat is just right there behind, and my mom's right there behind. So yeah, anyway, what else can I say? It does talk about globalization, and what really struck me here is that when they arrived in the village, it was the part where the team was gathering skulls, and how having skulls is what you call this, it means differently. It means a lot to the Bontoc people. And also, yeah, and how it was kind of treated as an accessory. So kind of in a way, this sort of touches cultural appropriation in a way, or perhaps touches cultural appropriation. And yeah, what else do I have to say? And how also it makes you think about how people are treated collectively, indigenous people of the Philippines, or for example Igorots, when they're basically I looked it up, Igorot is basically people of the Cordilleras, and there are so many tribes there, so yeah, it what I always think about books, it makes you curious about things. And yeah, and overall the things that were happening along from Tacoma to St. Louis. It makes me like, it unleashed emotions out of me, and I was just like really eager about like what Lukey is gonna discover about America. So I'm definitely in it for the ride for this like book. So yeah, I might have some more thoughts along the way, and I'll catch you folks later. Whoa. Also, I'm gonna include like a link to my like wrap up slash collection of book reviews when I participated in Asian Readathon in 2019, because that included Bone Talk by Candy Gourlay. So there's like a short review of that. And also another thing that like struck me throughout like the 100 pages that I read is that scene where they were talking about superstitions. So it kind of made me think about like that scene in Babel where, that thing when they said about like outside of Europe, or let alone outside of the United Kingdom, like the ways of living, the customs of people are like barbaric. So it was not explicitly said that, like, with Truman, he didn't say that it was barbaric, but like kind of like context clues. If you've been studying that in your English classes, like you can tell, like he was like superstitions, and like he was kind of like you know sort of saying that or conveying that. So what do you folks think? Like, it is gonna make you think about like what customs should be like, and like going back to what I said in the previous clip, globalization or westernization. So I am done more than 200 pages with Bone Talk by Candy Gourlay, and I have a handful of things to say. Now, this book is told in a perspective where Lukey is talking to her mother, so I'm not sure if that is like a second person point of view. Comment down below your answers. And I'd have to say that there are a lot of things that happen here, but I'm just gonna try to like point out the things on top of my head that really struck me. That thing where some cod was like in jail. Now the reason behind it, like the quote unquote dog feast wherein they're gonna sacrifice a dog, that kind of like shows and makes you think about like how other people can use other things from a particular group of people or culture for their own like entertainment. And while FYI, it didn't really show like the reenactment per se. It just like said like what happened on, because of their Truman Hunt wanted to do like a demonstration or an exhibition of like a dog, quote unquote dog feast, where they would sacrifice a dog. They really discussed like how things went there, because we are hearing this in the perspective of Lukey, and we all know that Lukey was working for Sadie in Pike. So yeah, so that's why that wasn't shown. Okay, just putting out the information out there. It's up to you whether you would still want to go for it or not. There's just a few pages that talked about it, but yeah. And what else? Yeah, like that part really like hit so hard. And the whole thing with Sidong, where she was being stopped to draw, and all that Truman Hunt wanted her to do is just like do the quote unquote Igorot or Bontok like dances, for like Truman's like gain in a way. That really like I had a disdain to Truman in this story, but that's a good characterization, by the way. Just to let you know what I always talk about in my reading vlogs and basically my videos here on my channel about characterization. So, yeah, it's like they want to just see a certain side, or not only like see a certain side, but like condition the way that these are what Igorots are. Like they only accept like certain parts were in, because of different circumstances when, they were introduced to crayons. So, it's like there are people that like, hey, I can like what Lukey said, like she wants to be, in a different place where she can explore things that she probably will never have explored if she had it like in a different like circumstance, so that's gonna make you think about identities and like again, it may even lead to like thinking about being yourself, and sometimes even on a collective kind of like perspective. And yes, and that part with Johnny, and it kind of like makes you think about like, were they like playing it safe, or were they just trying to be safe? Because like it makes you think about like, as much as, well, I agree that people should definitely be gentle to people, but there are just like people out there that just don't align with you, so you can really just protect so much. I don't know, like those are just like my thoughts in that scene, so I just leave it there. Like kind of like, and it may not be exactly the best thing, and something that I would agree, people should just like really just simply gel together because of the different characteristics that we have. Like it made me think about that, so kind of like deals with people's boundaries and limitations in a way. I don't know, it just like made me think of those things in that area. But like, I don't know, I just kind of like see where everybody's kind of like coming from in that scene. And yeah, like we can just be as kind as, and at the same time as protective towards like each other, like, and because we're being accountable towards one another. So that, and with Sadie, what, at first I admit, you know her scenes with Lukey were like, or Lukey, were cute, but like I kind of felt like there was something there, and she reminded me of Letitia from Babel. She was like this, like, I'm a woman and I gotta speak myself, gotta like advocate for myself. She has like this like strong, feisty personality that I don't want to be just like most girls, kind of thing. But is still, kind of still stuck at their own like realm and lacks like empathy. And I there was a chapter here titled "Ignorant," and I couldn't help, like, she was screaming at Lukey when she's the one who is like ignorant. Maybe both are in a certain extent. I don't know. Feel free to comment down below your thoughts, especially if you've read this book. But like, I'm just like, what I disliked about, and kind of like reminded me of Letitia a lot, or Letty from Babel, is that Sadie was going on, and this is like a bit of spoilery FYI. Sadie said like, I took you in, I befriended you, I recognize you. It's like she used the word grifter towards like Truman, and we're in, maybe she knows the word. How they say like it takes one to know one. Okay, so yeah, what you call this, like, it takes one to know one. So it makes me think about like, did she call Truman that because like true, Sadie is to a certain extent a grifter, kind of like, if you look it up, I looked up the meaning of grifter. It's like swindling, so kind of like manipulative. So yeah, she's kind of acting like manipulative in a way, like she was trying to gatekeep Lukey's like attention, and boom, like now she's in servitude. So I was just like no. I'm like, and with Tealian, I knew that something is really off, and towards like the last pages that I read, not yet, I'm not yet finished, by the way, like towards like the 200 something mark of this book, and I was like, I knew it all along. Like, no, like she, yeah. So I'm gonna continue reading this one. Probably the next clip that I'm gonna be sharing would be, I'm already finished talking about the, or rather finished reading the book, I should say. So I'll catch you folks later. So I just finished reading Wild Song by Candy Gourlay, and I have to say that this book did not disappoint. Candy Gourlay wrote again another masterpiece, and I have some things to say. Now, regarding Kinyo's decision to say that they're quote-unquote no longer a savage, quote-unquote they're an American now, and they're quote unquote civilized. It's made me think about like people in history, specifically in Philippine history, like Raha Humabon. Like, when, I don't know, for other like BIPOC people out there, when you think about, like, say, a fellow person from your like community or identity or heritage that makes decisions that are like different, or stances that are different, especially through different like topics or issues, it kind of like reminded me of like the situation, like basically overall, like the Igorot village and like all the other characters that were in this book. So yeah, makes you think about that. And also that like ending, or like those last parts where they were being sent back to Bontok, and with Sidong saying that they did not leave Tillin behind in the United States because like her spirit was with them all along, and Sidong was like illustrating Tillin in her like sketchbook and her like coloring book, and that was just like really heartwarming. There's like that sort of spirit of hope. There's like some sort of an innocence to it. Samkad and Luki are relatively older, but I still thought like the book overall was suitable for middle grade. Even if it dealt about topics such as colonization, westernization, globalization, identity. Like thinking about, is the grass like greener on the other side? Like that old saying, the grass is greener on the other side. Isn't it? Like, is it really like greener over there? When they say the grass is not greener on the other side. Sorry, I've been saying that much because that has been like running in my head as I read this book, and I really enjoyed my journey and like my reading experience of Wild Song by Candy Gourlay. So it does remind me a bit of like some of the topics or some of the things that were like pointed out here were similar to Babel. Letitia and Sadie kind of having similar traits, and how another thing that I think that I did not mention in like my previous clips is that like Sadie like told Luki that she was ungrateful, and that reeked. That like gave out Lanny vibes from Babel. If you've read Babel, you know what I'm talking about. Feel free to comment down below if you agree, or any thoughts basically. And so far, I have to say, like, this book tackled serious, important like topics, socio-political topics, things that affect us, even society as today. That are suitable even for preteens or middle grade. So, I think that throughout my reading experiences of Bone Top and Wild Song, Candy Gourlay really deals with these topics that are going to be suitable for like any readers, whether you are from the Philippines, you grew up in a Philippine culture, or even if you are outside of the Philippine culture, getting to know a little bit more and would spark curiosity. Like I said, all those things that I mentioned, like this book like made you want to think about and contemplate about them, like the characterizations, the circumstances, like even like with Luki's decision. Like I like the way that how the circumstances were like discussed here. So yes, overall it's another great work. I'm definitely looking forward to read more Candy Gourlay books, which I kind of expected. That's why, of course, I decided to gravitate to Wild Song, because I really enjoyed Bone Talk, and just like Bone Talk, well, for this book, going back, I think the only reason why I would give this like not 100% perfect star would be there were a few parts that disconnected, but overall I was like seated, and I was really, it unleashed a lot of emotions, which if you've been watching my videos on my channel, those are like the things that I look for in a book that's gonna make me like enjoy my reading experience, and how to me a book is indeed effective, as opposed to like just being, there's a disconnect, totally, or a lot of books like disconnect. This one, it made me contemplate, it made me feel, and think about like the circumstances and the narratives that were happening in this one. So because of that, I'm giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Also to add, I looked in the back, it says hashtag Anvil Teens, and it's also placed like in the younger section, not really children's section, but kind of like the like 9 to 13 section in other bookstores here in the Philippines. And yes, I agree that it still could be suitable even for preteens and middle grade. And also, oh my goodness, I just want to say again, Sidong's innocence and like sweet, heartwarming characterization with her artistic like sketches and like, you know, drawings using like her crayons and pencil. Like they said, Tillin's spirit is there. That was just so heartwarming. And if you made it this far, leave like an articulated lorry. That's what they call this. Or like personally, I just simply call this a truck emoji. So I hope you folks liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. I also put down links and handles on my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there and support me there as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. Always be thankful and unleash the reader in you. Bye, y'all.